No, I went to shake his hand and he didn't even touch it. Now I'm like, really in your head? You're just like,
what's your truth about getting in the ring with Errol right now?
I want to hurt him.
Yeah.
That's my mentality right now going into this fight, because I really want to do damage. But a challenge that I'm willing to take with both hands, and I wouldn't be taking this fight if I knew I didn't win.
He's not the biggest of names, and he's the biggest names in Australia. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he wasn't the best that I could get, but I'm not crazy, but I bought nothing. So. You know, I was looking at Fundora. I'm looking at, top names. Like, yeah, I fight him. Like, cause I'm the type of guy, I really don't believe in ring.
Errol Spence and Tim Tszyu's heated interview spirals into an explosive moment filled with threats and intense back and forth. Tensions run high as emotions take over, and the conversation quickly turns into pure chaos in front of the cameras.
I don't feel like I need to go away from everyone.
Right.
Hide. I don't need to get into a hiding.
Tim Tszyu didn't hold back when discussing his issues with Errol Spence, pointing to what he saw as disrespectful behavior behind the scenes.
Surprised he didn't shake your hand?
I don't know what I was doing. But it's alright.
Now you're mad at yourself. You're not even mad at him. You're mad at yourself.
Now I see how it is,
Are you mad at him or are you mad at yourself?
No, I'm always.
You're just mad at
I'm alright. You know, like that's just how I was brought up.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I guess we're all.
According to him, there had already been signs of tension and disrespect long before things reached a boiling point. One particular interaction stood out to Tim, and it's something he clearly hasn't forgotten.
Errol, any thoughts that he could come over and take over the house?
No.
Yeah.
No, I feel like this fight, the magnitude of it.
Yeah.
I think all the Aussies. This is for the Aussies.
Yeah.
And this is why I chose Jeff Fennick and bringing it all back home is because this is a fight for Australia. I want to come in red hot. No feel out this time around. Just come in red hot, and I want to go in and really just go for his head straight away.
Errol said he never viewed Tim Tszyu as a difficult challenge and seemed confident from the moment the matchup was discussed. The way he talks about the fight makes it sound like he believed this was the perfect opponent for his return.
I'm gonna fight Tim Tszyu. I mean, it was more, I say more of the process was negotiating how much I'm gonna get. It was easy for me. I was like, I want to fight Tim Tszyu. I'll fight Tim Tszyu in Australia because, they wanted it. They were trying to get me to fight at maybe Cowboy Stadium or in America, but I was like, nah, I'd rather have my first fight back, somewhere else. And, it came up, Tim Tszyu, and I I'll definitely take that.
In fact, Errol's confidence was so high that agreeing to the fight appeared to be the easiest part of the entire process.
It isn't the biggest of names. He's cool, but he's not the biggest of names. And I feel like, he's a lot of heart. He's a lot of heart, and I think that's why he switched back. He had the Cuban coach, and I feel like that wasn't gonna work out well for him because, I mean, he can't learn that type of style that the Cuban coach is teaching. That's more cultural, more rhythm and things like that, and things that I feel like he don't have. He's a more of a comfort.
Meanwhile, Brian Norman also issued a strong warning ahead of Errol Spence's comeback, suggesting that Spence could return even sharper, more dangerous, and fully focused against Tim Tszyu. He went on to predict a possible early knockout shock, claiming that Tszyu could be stopped quickly if Spence comes back in. Peak form, physically explosive, and mentally locked in.
We're definitely going to see a different version of Errol Spence. And I feel like he's going to be better than he was in the past. And what I mean by that is, first round knockout coming soon. And Tim Tszyu is going to sleep, man. The boy ain't got nothing for him. What dude from Australia? My boy, he coming to Australia just to give him the work, you feel me? But back to what I was saying, I just feel like Errol Spence, he's going to be a great fighter, just doing the thing I seen him in camp. And hell of a fight.
But Mikey Garcia also noted that Errol Spence's comeback could be even more challenging if he fights Tim Tszyu in Australia. He explained that stepping into an opponent's home country always adds extra pressure, with the crowd energy and support heavily favoring the local fighter against someone as aggressive and confident as Tszyu. He suggested that the environment, travel, and atmosphere could combine to create one of the toughest fights of Spence's career.
He's been fighting, what, like two years?
Since
maybe?
the Crawford fight, yeah.
3 years, maybe? 2 years? That's a good fight for him to come back, because Tim Tszyu is also not at his, prime anymore. He's been hurt, he's been knocked out. So that's actually a pretty good matchup for a return. It's also a good matchup for Tim. If he beats Errol Spence,
big name,
he gets another, shot at something bigger. So that's a good matchup for both, actually. But he's going to Australia, so that's a little iffy there.
No, plus when you travel that far, it takes a long time to adjust to the weather, the food, the time.
Change.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be a little tricky, but matchup-wise, it's a good match.
When Tszyu was asked about this matchup, he made it clear that he sees it as his defining opportunity and carries himself like someone who fully expects to get the better of Errol Spence once they meet in the ring. Tszyu has been speaking with strong confidence, suggesting he believes there are vulnerabilities in this version of Spence that he can take advantage of. He also feels his pressure, timing, and clean punching will wear Errol down as the fight progresses, particularly given Spence's long period away from boxing.
He's been a guy that chases the toughest and baddest challenges out there. And when I got presented with Errol, who's undeniably one of the best fighters of this decade, I didn't hesitate, and I straight away accepted. I accepted not to compete, but I accepted because I knew that the victory is only on my mind. I know the challenge that he's put in front of me. I'm going to work super hard, and I'm coming for it all. And thank you again. Victory is mine.
Meanwhile, Errol Spence sees himself stepping into this fight as a more mature and mentally stronger fighter, believing that his newfound sense of calm could give him a key edge over Tim Tszyu. He has spoken about learning from the setbacks, pressure, and challenges he's faced over the past few years, saying they've made him more focused and composed heading into training camp. Spence also suggested that this mental clarity has improved his discipline, preparation, and overall approach to this comeback. If he can carry that mindset into the ring, he feels fans may see a sharper, more controlled, and more dangerous version of the big fish against Tszyu.
But I guarantee you, come July 26th, you will see a better, more improved Errol Spence. It was some time I had 3 years off, and I feel like it helped me mentally. It helped me physically, gave me some time to recover.
Tim Tszyu also appeared to take a subtle jab at Errol Spence's extended layoff, suggesting that after such a long time away from the ring, Spence might have benefited from a softer return rather than stepping straight into a high-risk fight like this. Although it was a brief remark, fans quickly picked up on the underlying message, as Tszyu's confidence made it sound like he believed Spence could struggle to handle his pressure and pace after such a lengthy absence from competition.
It's definitely not recommended, to go straight into the firing line. It would have been better to start off slowly, but, on his caliber, he feels like he doesn't need tune-ups, which is fair enough. But yeah, it's going to be fireworks from the opening.
Ronnie Shields is confident that Errol Spence still has the ability to show the world exactly who he is, particularly now that he seems mentally locked in and fully dedicated during training camp. Working closely with Spence throughout his preparation for the Tim Tszyu fight, Shields has been focusing on sharpening his timing, improving his pressure, and tightening his overall ring discipline through intense pad sessions.
A very good fighter, former world champion, And we know if we have a work cut out for us. We just know that Errol's going to be in the best shape that he can possibly get in. And with the experience and everything that he's been through in his life as a fighter, we feel comfortable in going to Australia to get this thing done. And the fans are really going to be the winners of this. So look forward to it.
Tim Tszyu blasts Errol Spence's physical condition, mocking his appearance and sparking controversy ahead of their heated buildup. The comments add more fuel to the rivalry as tensions rise between the two fighters during the pre-fight buildup.
He would have thought that as well, come out throwing the left hook. But it was good to pick his brain a little, just like what he does before the fight, what he feels, what he eats and stuff like that. I think just stuff that you can only talk as a professional fighter.
What is one of the takeaways from that? Is there anything you can tell us that's not a secret?
It's quite similar actually, just like what he eats. Doesn't eat beef or pork, I'm the same as that. In a training camp, how much weight to put on and stuff like that, and what he does.
Floyd Schofield Jr. was asked to break down the Errol Spence versus Tim Tszyu matchup, and he didn't hesitate to side with the Texan. Kid Austin admitted, Spence's long layoff raises some concerns, but he still believes the former unified champion has the skill and experience to get the job done if he returns at his best.
What about the return of Errol Spence versus Tim Tszyu?
Oh, man. Y'all know I got to rock with the Texan, Errol Spence. I'm just a little nervous. He has been on for a very long time. And then, people like to talk about his speech. And I feel like he was always a slow talker, but I don't know. I'm going with Spence. I know Spence can pull it off. Hopefully everything up there is right, especially after having those accidents, then, fighting Crawford not too long after that. So I just hope everything's 100% in his head. And I think if it is, then he definitely has everything to beat Tim.
Roy Jones Jr. shared his thoughts on Errol Spence Jr.'s return, saying the boxing world is glad to see him back and that fighters should always have the chance to make a proper comeback. He explained that Spence taking on a tough matchup against Tim Tszyu shows real ambition, especially with both fighters trying to rebuild their path back to the top. Roy also praised Spence's mentality, saying he respects that he isn't looking for easy fights and still wants real challenges at this stage of his career.
So glad to have him back, to see that he's back in boxing. The boxing world is glad to see that he came back. We all want to see him make a comeback. We don't never want to see a guy go out bad and not try to come back, because that's what boxers do. And I think it's a smart return because it's also against a guy who was on the way up there, who made it to the top, but had some struggles, and now he's on the incline trying to get back up too. So it's two guys trying to get back up. I think it's a great situation. But the biggest thing I got to say that I love about Errol Spence is that Errol don't want no easy fights. Errol don't want to fight guys that are nobody.
He AKA no tune-up.
No,
he don't want no
tune-up. He
tune-up.
wants challenges. You understand me? He wants challenges. And for him to challenge a person like Tim Tszyu, when Tim Tszyu has been regularly fighting for the last 3 years, he's been not doing much. That says a lot about Errol, but that tells you exactly how much fight is still left in Errol. Errol is a guy who's always coming to the party to dance. He don't have time to play no games. And you gotta love that about Errol.
He's always been that guy. And I've always had respect for Errol Spence because he's a real fighter. He's not a guy that talks a lot, but he brings a big stick to the battle. And when you deal with Errol Spence, you gotta bring your lunch pail because he's gonna bring it and he's nothing to play with. Respect his brother because he's not with the tune-up. And you gotta know who you are. If Errol knows that I can't really get up for that guy, then I can only get up for these type of guys. You gotta know yourself. And Errol Spence knows himself. So the respect is always gonna be there for him. And we will unpack this fight as we get closer because it's not until July 25th, but I'm excited to see him back. I'm excited to see him talking his talk. I would have just as much respect for him if he walked away and was able to sort of deal with them voices that we got to deal with as fighters and overcome that to say, nah, I'm good. I've done enough. But I equally respect him for taking this chance and taking this risk because it's a big...
According to Chris Algieri, both fighters still have big questions surrounding them, and he believes this. matchup is far more unpredictable than many fans realize.
Two are very high contact fighters in terms of their styles. Tim comes right at you, he's really in front of you like he's shown his last couple fights. And Errol's a Terminator. He comes forward and rips with both hands. He's a combination puncher. I think he's actually going to feel better at 54, not whittling himself down to 147. So all in all, I do like this fight because both guys have enough question marks that you really don't know exactly what's going to happen on fight night. Tim Tszyu and Errol Spence. Or Errol Spence and Tim Tszyu, depending on how you want to bill it. I'll probably go Errol Spence first. But it's I actually like the fight. It's a fight where I think there's a lot of question marks for both guys. And if Errol was coming in and going right to a fight with like a Virgil Ortiz or someone who was streaking at 150, or like a Sebastian Fundera, for example, coming off the layoff, I would be a little more apprehensive than I am with this. Because Tim Tszyu is a guy who his life has been turned upside down. His boxing life has been turned upside down the last couple of years. From going from a budding superstar champion, looking to make a real name for himself in the States, to taking 2 really bad stoppage losses, to looking less than stellar in some of his comeback fights, to a guy who's been switching training camps, losing touch with family members. There's a lot going on brewing under the surface with Tim Tszyu at this moment. And with Errol, he's just a big question mark. The guy hasn't been in the ring in almost 3 years. His last fight was a really bad loss to Errol Spence. There was questions about his health in terms of the beating he took from Crawford, but also the car accidents that he had many years ago, in which he doesn't seem like he's necessarily the same guy anymore.
Experts said Errol Spence has entered camp in good shape, especially with the fight being announced recently. Spence looks focused and physically ready. Spence may have made some questionable lifestyle choices earlier in his career, but those habits have improved despite a quick return and big wins afterward. Experts noted Spence's no tune-up approach. Overall, Spence looks sharp in sparring and is preparing well for a strong comeback performance.
Judging by the pictures, he entered camp in shape because the fight literally kind of just got announced pretty recently, and you can already tell the man is in shape. So I do like that. And when Errol at the peak of his fame, I think he was making some pretty questionable choices. Drinking. I don't think he drinks at all anymore. I mean, don't hold me to it, but I believe I read that he don't drink anymore, which is a great thing. I say it all the time. Athletes in general, but boxers particularly, you got a window like this big. The greater you are defensively and offensively, and your chin and stuff, you can extend that a little bit, especially if you're Errol, say he's Mr. No Tune-Ups, and he showed that, came back to tough fights, all things considered. Here's the final picture. Errol Spence. He's looking in shape, and he's sparring this dude who looks bigger than him. I don't know exactly what weight the guy's fighting at, but I'm looking forward to a good fight. Hopefully Errol delivers. He has to show something. You know what I mean? Even if he were to lose, if it's a catastrophic loss, people already wrote you off after Crawford. They're going to pretty much be saying, hey, you got to retire and all that. So he has to make it competitive. I don't think a split decision loss or anything would hurt too much. But if he went out to Australia and got cooked and got like bodied or something, he didn't look the same. Yeah, that's going to be harder to bounce.
Greg Hackett said he doesn't believe Errol Spence can simply bully Tim Tszyu in their matchup. He suggested that Tszyu's toughness, strength, and willingness to trade could make it difficult for Spence to impose his usual pressure style.
I think it's a perfect matchup. Perfect matchup because both of them have been through their fair share of, wars and things like that. Errol Spence with the accidents, Errol Spence with the Bud Crawford fight. But I feel like he took enough time off where he could get healthy and get in his bag. Tim Tszyu said, well, you didn't even want to shake my hand. I don't got to shake your hand. We get ready to fight. That let me know that Errol Spence is in the right state of mind. He understands he got work to do, pain to put in. You know what I'm saying? I like it. I think Tim Tszyu is looking at it like a lick, like he think Errol is right.
According to him, this fight may not be as one-sided in the clinch or in side exchanges as some expect. And Tszyu could stand firm rather than be pushed around.
He knows exactly what it is. He knows exactly what it is. I'm just I'm just glad he took a little break afterwards. He needed the break. I think we're gonna see Earl work behind his jab a little bit more with the movement. I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna see Earl working, but more movement. Not movement like a boxer, but just he's still being a predator, but he just making sure he moves side to side or move his head or take a step back with his hands up. You know, just to give you the space enough for you to do what you gotta do, but not do any damage to him, and then him enough space for him to be able to get right back to it.
Tim Tszyu should bring a controlled pressure game against Errol Spence Jr. He needs to use his jab to close distance, apply steady forward pressure, and target the body early to slow Spence down. Instead of rushing into wild exchanges, Tszyu should work in sharp bursts and stay defensively aware of Spence's counters. The key is to break Spence down gradually, not chase a single big shot. And he is training intensely in the gym to achieve this goal.
Let's see, you don't let him. It's nice. Good, there you go. Let's go. One.
Brendan Bradford noted that Tszyu has been working on key fundamentals in camp, especially fixing issues like dropping his right hand when throwing the left hook, while also preparing for the specific challenges Errol Spence presents. He also discussed the betting odds, saying he's not surprised Tszyu is the underdog given Spence's status as a former unified champion and one of the best pound-for-pound fighters of the last decade. However, he was a bit surprised by how wide the odds are, suggesting Tszyu could offer some value. He added that it's difficult to fully judge either fighter due to uncertainty around Spence's form after a long layoff and Tszyu's recent losses in big fights.
Obviously one they're working on, so there are fundamentals, but there's also particulars to prepare for Errol Spence.
Yes, well, we're all excited to see what comes of it, mate. What about the odds for this fight? What have you made of Tim Tszyu being a heavy sort of underdog, $2.50, $2.60.
Yeah.
Errol Spence as low as $1.55 or thereabouts. What do you make of that? I'm surprised in a way, but I'm also not surprised, especially given, Errol Spence, one of the greatest fighters of the past.
Surprised by the length of the odds. I thought maybe Tim at 210-ish to Spence's maybe $1.80 or $1.70. But to see it quite wide is interesting. That's the part I will say. I'm not surprised that Tim's the underdog. I'm surprised that he's so far that he's 250. Bit of value there maybe. But look, you sort of can't go off what may be or what you don't know. You do know that Tim has lost 3 world title fights in the last 2 years. You do know that Spence is one of the best fighters on the planet for close to a decade. You don't know where they're at. You don't know where Spence is at as he shot. You don't know really.
Then Errol Spence opens up about how stepping away gave him a clearer structure and a more disciplined approach to life and preparation.
Into a more, disciplined lifestyle to where, I'm always around my family, just finding different hobbies that I like other than boxing, and realizing that I'm okay without boxing, and just being 100% there for my family and just enjoying life outside of boxing. Just getting time to recover too, just getting time to recover mentally, recover physically, and just And just enjoying life, man. Enjoying life, enjoying the moment, living in the moment, and not just thinking about what's next all the time. I feel like that's a bad habit that I had of myself. Like, even after winning my first world title, like, I never stepped in the moment. I always was thinking about what's next, or who I'm gonna fight next, or what I'm gonna do next. But during this time off, I was just more in the moment, get more clarity, spending more time with my family, and just the main thing, just enjoying life and just living in the moment and being present. Being present is the biggest thing of all. Just being present with my kids, being present, you know, with my girl, being present with my fiance, being present with my mother, father, and everybody.
You know, I'm also so happy having Errol Spence back. He's already done so much in this game. Being a unified welterweight champion, the WBC, WBA, and IBF world champion. So it's great having him back. He's got big wins over some great names like Sean Porter, Kell Brook, Danny Garcia, Mikey Garcia, Yordanis Ugas. You know, so it's just great having him back. I'm personally very happy, and I think that it's going to be a big night for him, big night for us, and thank you all for coming.
As you just saw, things got heated between Errol Spence and Tim Tszyu, and the tension is only getting stronger ahead of this massive showdown. The question now is, who really has the edge when they finally step inside the ring? Drop your predictions in the comments below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe for more boxing updates, breakdowns, and fight news. We'll see you in the next.